Hi everyone, it's Marla. Welcome back to Twinstrology. I hope that you're all doing well. Happy August and happy Lionsgate. I know I've been quiet recently. I did do a lot of traveling in July, but I wanted to check in and do a card reading for the month of August and the Lionsgate so we can just get an idea of what's happening energy-wise. As I said, I did have time off in July, but I am back now. So if you are interested in booking a reading with me, a clearing, an SRT session, hypnosis session, I am available for those. I will put my link below. Or even if you want to know more about me or more about my sessions, just check out my website. It's been very interesting since I started doing the spirit release clearings because that's another way for me to tune into the collective energy and see what's going on. And it's been interesting to see what's going on with the masculine because there is quite a lot of interference energy on the masculine. And it's clear that a lot of them have been having a tough time because of the interference energy. I think it's very easy to forget or kind of gloss over the possibility that interference could be affecting your union. But when I'm doing clearings on twin flame pairs, it becomes obvious that there's a lot of interference happening. And so sometimes the things that are going on in your connection or the things that are going on with your masculine could be coming from interference. So it's something to consider having someone take a look at it or having someone take a look at yourself, even, especially if you're a healer and you're doing healing work with others. Even though we can be very vigilant in our protection, sometimes things do get in and do stick on us. And it's useful to have someone else take a look and see what's going on. And that's certainly been a blessing for me as I take on this work, is that I'm able to have people that I know that are also doing this check on me and my energy field when I'm not feeling well to see if there's any interference. So just throwing that out there, and let's get into the reading. So let's take a look at the overall energy for unions. I'm praying you'll come back after everything that's happened between us. I worry that you won't forgive me and allow me another chance. And that's clarified with happening soon. The situation or event in question will develop or unfold very soon. Okay, I want to talk about these two cards together because I feel like they very much go together. So this card is talking about the fear that the person isn't going to come back. And this card, while the caption is happening soon, I want you to look at the image. There's a woman standing here at the train station waiting for the train to come in. And this card always makes me feel a little melancholy. We don't really know if the woman is actually waiting for a train herself or waiting for someone to come back. But at the moment, there's no train. Now, there is another card in this deck that is called Happening Now. And in the Happening Now card, we have a train station, but we have a couple being reunited. So I often read this card as being a card that's about feeling abandoned, feeling all alone. So taking with this card, I'm praying you'll come back, but I don't know if you will or not. I feel that what we might expect, at least in the beginning of August, as we lead up to the full moon, which is on August 9th, the day after the Lion's Gate, is that we're clearing a lot of grief. This could be conscious or subconscious. As we have been working towards this energy of Lion's Gate, we've been having to do a lot of karmic clearing. And It is summertime, at least for most people watching. Some of you are in the Southern Hemisphere. But for most of you, it's summer, and summer is the time where we go on trips, we go on vacation, we have some time off usually. And doing that in the last several months has been a way of activating the grid to connect with different past lives that you've been having. And so a lot of this grief and feelings of abandonment is going to come up from the past life energy. One thing that I've been getting the last couple weeks is that there are repressed emotions that need to surface. And that is part of the grief or the sadness, or you could be feeling disappointment or frustration, maybe at the place where your union is at. Maybe you're feeling like it's never going to happen, or you're thinking about when could it happen. There could be some triggers involved as well that kind of kick off the grief, and those triggers could be coming from the grid, or they could be coming from your fears, or they could be coming from some interaction that you're having with your twin. As I look at what's happening with twin flames, at least the ones that I'm in contact with, I would say that the energy for twins is really right across the board. You know, some people are making a lot of progress. Some people are having sporadic communication, but it's more communication than they've had before. And some people still find themselves in no communication, and maybe you've been dealing with no communication for a long time. So I've seen everything, and I've seen recently people hear from their twin and they haven't heard from their twin in over a year. I've heard that from a couple people. So things are happening. And to be clear, like just because maybe they hear from their twin, it doesn't mean that now they're in union and everything's fine. It's more like there's sporadic communication happening, but sporadic communication is better than no communication. However, all of those situations I'm hearing from you guys is leading you to confront fears or to have doubts or to question the journey. So I definitely feel like this is what is coming up. I want to say too, I mentioned this, I think in my last energy update, was that there's a lot of activations on the heart chakra in July, and those will continue in August. Our hearts need to open more, and that is part of our expanding energetic field. That's part of the ascension process. So, this grief, sadness, heaviness, abandonment, these are all things that sit on the heart chakra and don't allow it to expand, or they don't allow for the unconditional love. Then it's energy that's more connected to fears. So these are the things that are going to be brought up for clearing during this portal. And this is just like one stage of the process that I think by the end of this reading we'll see and understand more about that. Now, what is positive for unions? I dream about you. Sometimes it's sexual, other times I visualize our future together. This is, whoops, clarified with rainbow. So, Spirit is telling us that what is positive is that our dreams are coming true. This card is talking about daydreams. And really, what are daydreams? But they're that little window where we can slip into the 0 point field and we can imagine what we wish our life to be, what our future to be. We can wish for what our union might be, or that reconnection and how that would feel. And that is a powerful energy. We don't give daydreaming enough credit, to be honest, because going into those daydreams can actually raise our vibration quite a bit, or, like I said, bring us into the 0 point field of all possibilities. But because it's coupled with this rainbow card and we see the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, then we know for sure that dreams are coming through. Some of the key words here are wish granted, serendipity, blessings, patience pays off, creation, manifestation, perfect timing. So we have to stay focused on those dreams and believe those dreams are coming through. Whether that is about your union, your purpose, whether that is about financial wealth, whether that's about your spiritual enlightenment or your home, whatever you're focused on, Spirit is trying to deliver those things to you. I just mentioned our expanding energetic field. That's part of the ascension process and the clearing of the chakras as we go through this process, which is a process that takes years. But every increment of that process gets us one step closer to being the um, the manifester is what I want to say. It's almost like the magician energy. The more our field becomes clear and strong and our chakras become clear and strong, the better we are at being able to manifest our dreams and our goals. So I feel like Spirit is saying, like, this is why we're going through this. This is why maybe that we go through hard times, but it's because in the long run, it's really going to bring those good times in. What's challenging us at this time? We incarnated together to clear specific patterns from our ancestral bloodlines. And that's clarified with labyrinth. So again, we have a sign here that we're doing a lot of clearing. And of course, in this card, it's talking about ancestral clearing, but I think we can take it in a much broader way. A lot of the pictures on this card about the ancestral healing, if you can see that, is images of people getting married. And so I always see this as a card that has to do with relationships as well. And what are those family patterns that interfere with our relationships? What things are in our DNA? What is passed down ancestrally? One of the things that I clear when I'm doing the spirit release clearings, I should say my spirit guide clears them because I don't, she does, is she clears ancestral curses, um, which create interference on many people. They come up at different times, but it's a quite common thing to find them on most people. And this labyrinth card is representing that healing journey. And I feel like the challenge is you might be feeling in the month of August like you don't know where you're going, or you might be feeling like, will this ever end? You might be feeling like this journey is a maze, and I don't know if I'm close to the center of this maze or if I've just started this maze. And some of you, I know you get tired and you get frustrated. And you might be feeling like, am I wasting my time? Is there a way out of this scenario? Am I ever going to get anywhere? I think that's very much the frustration right now because, to be honest, for a lot of people, not everybody, but for a lot of people, at the moment, things aren't moving very fast. we all have been getting the messages that things are changing, things are opening up, that these dreams are coming true. But you may not be seeing a lot of signs in your 3D reality that things are shifting. And I feel like it's kind of the calm before the storm, if you will. It's this period of time where we need to do the deep clearing work and to take on these codes. There's lots of light codes coming in that are activating the heart. They're also activating the crown chakra too. And we have to allow the light codes to do their work. We have our part of the work that we do, which is consciously doing the clearing to release the patterns, clear the issues, clear the interference. But there's also an energetic component that shifts the etheric body and that shifts the consciousness and that creates the connection to higher self and to soul energy and to source energy. And right now we're in that process of doing the clearing and allowing the light codes to just do the change. I probably should have waited till I pulled the next card to say all of that. Because we're looking next at the feminine energy. What I'm getting with that is it's not going to be like this forever. And I know it's been a long journey, and some of you have been on this journey 20 years, 30 years. Yeah, I understand the frustration, but really, this row of cards is a lot about just having trust and faith. I know I say that a lot. And sometimes I'm like, Spirit, are you really going to have me come out there and say yet again, well, you have to have trust and faith. But that is what spiritual enlightenment is about, is developing the trust and faith muscle. Because if you don't have trust and faith, how are your dreams going to come true? They're not, because you're never going to believe that they can happen, therefore they never will happen. So it's a catch-22, which is actually one of the words on this card. You have to trust in order for things to move forward. So what is coming up for the feminine? I feel the chemistry between us. We need to trust that the energy we share will bring us back together again. So this is what I'm talking about as far as the energy, the energetic component. What we do consciously and what happens to us subconsciously, they're working in tandem to bring us back to union or to unity. And so a lot of the journey is just trusting and allowing. You can see how this card goes with this card, because I'm praying you'll come back after everything that's happened, but I don't know if you will. And this card is saying it's okay to trust. Trust the energy. Trust your intuition. It's clarified with earn. Remember what I said, we're going to be clearing grief and unresolved emotions, repressed emotions, subconscious emotions. So we've got to let the old die away before this new beginning can be born, before the dreams can come true, because this old energy of grief and loss is making it difficult to trust and to manifest. This, I would say, goes along with this, right? The woman has her back to us, but we can almost feel the sadness in the energy of this card, can't we? It always reminds me of that song, There's a song called Small Town Boy by Bronski Beat from the 80s, and he talks about being at the train station with a little black bag and crying. And that's a lot of what this card reminds me of. So when we talk about this grief, again, it could be negative feelings that you're having about the journey. It could be um, loss of someone. We are in eclipse season, and when we're in eclipses, that is a time where a lot of people cross over. And so that can be a factor. Can be old issues from your childhood. It could be past life issues, especially the past life issues of separation from your twin that you're dealing with. So that is what's coming up for the feminine or what the feminine is trying to work on. Remember, you can see this has either you or your twin. You can see this side is either you or your twin, but you also have to read this as your inner journey as well. So what this is helping the feminine energy with, I'm listening to my higher self now. A higher power is guiding me. So clearing this energy is helping us ascend. I would say even more, we could take this even deeper than I'm listening to my higher self now, but it's like, yeah, it's ascension. It's our vibration is rising. Our frequency is rising to another level. Now, this card is clarified with slingshot. Some of the key words here: tension, strain, pressure, pull, force, set into motion, change. And I feel like spirit is saying with this that we're going through this process of ascension and connecting with the light. But right now, it might feel for some of you like you are in that slingshot and you're getting pulled back and there's a lot of tension on you. And it's that tension of that something is changing and transforming. You know that things are happening behind the scenes in your life. You know that those dreams are coming true and you can feel it, but there might not be any sign of it. And so that can create a lot of inner pressure and tension and inner frustration, to be honest. So keep in mind when you feel that tension and it wants to lead to frustration or maybe anxiety. And I'm going to say this too, because there is so much transformation. And some of you, I will say, you're in the thick of it. I've talked to several people this week, for instance, doing one-on-one sessions, and they've all said to me, like, big things are happening at work. Things are changing. And I'm not exactly sure how they're going to go, but they're creating pressure in each of those people to change. And in the moment of the change, it can bring up fears of, am I ready for this? What's going to happen? How will I handle this? All those things. So I guess it depends on where you are. Like if you're feeling the change and you're seeing the change coming at you, or even if you don't and you're more feeling in a limbo, you can see how these cards apply. But this is our feminine connecting deeper with the intuitive power. Like I said, this goes for the masculine too. And or I should say your twin, if your twin is masculine, they still have a feminine side. So the masculine, as we will see in a moment, also doing a lot of clearing. The kind of clearing that's going on, I would say, it's pretty equal, maybe a little bit more towards the feminine at the moment, but both the feminine and masculine are going through the clearing process. And this ascension process is affecting both masculine and feminine. So let's see what's going on for the masculine. I've been giving my power away to people in my life. I'm learning to set boundaries. And this is clarified with baggage. Well, this is not the first time that this card has come up for the masculine energy. I think we can see this a lot in the collective. There's so much angst and conflict, negativity, argumentative energy in the collective. And a lot of that is like power struggles between people and between kind of these like different segments that we try to identify with all these different segments and label ourselves, and then they all get into conflict with each other. But I think too, like karmic relationship wise, there's been a lot of giving away of power. So this is really what the masculine is needing to focus on. Sometimes the masculine doesn't do what they want to do. They do what other people want them to do or what they think other people want them to do. There's some appeasement with this card. There's letting people cross your boundaries. Whether you identify as masculine or feminine, having good and appropriate boundaries is something that is coming up. At the same time, there's a time and a place to have boundaries, and we can also keep people out. So we have to have this intuitive power to really be able to read the people around us and what is the energy that they bring us. Is it positive energy or negative energy? Is it a reciprocal relationship or are they trying to control me? So relationships and the role and effect of relationships in your life might be something that is coming up for people. This baggage card, as I look at the keywords, what stands out to me is unresolved issues and heavy burdens. Those are the ones that stand out the most. So the masculine is dealing with burdens, and they're carrying those burdens because they have issues that are unresolved. We often talk about unresolved emotions or unresolved trauma as being baggage that we're carrying around. And so in this way, it fits right in with these feelings of grief and abandonment. We've got to set this baggage down so that we can move forward. 2 7 cards on here. So how is this helping the masculine? I feel abandoned. I often feel like others let me down. And this is clarified with cabin. A lot of similarities on the card because we have kind of this lone, desolate building. This one's on an island. And we have the water representing emotions. You see at the moment in both pictures, the water is calm and reflective. And I'm seeing that as a sign that, yeah, these are repressed emotions. When we have repressed emotions that we haven't dealt with, that we're carrying around as baggage, what happens with those? We project them onto other people. We're not dealing with it. So we subconsciously project. And I feel like that's the smooth water. So having to deal with feeling abandoned, feeling alone, there can be fears coming up that if I set boundaries with people, they're going to leave me. So it goes in with that appeasement. I let people have control over me because I'm afraid that I'll end up alone. That that is a codependent relationship. That is a karmic relationship. Closed off, kept apart, quarantined, separated, disconnected. I feel like, well, I do feel like it's a time where you might be feeling those things in the sense that you might be pulling away. You might be taking time to rest. You might need alone time. But there's also this picture of when we feel like we're going to be abandoned, we shut down, we close ourselves off, and we go into isolation. We protect ourselves, in other words. That's what I mean by this. Maybe isolation isn't the right word, but it's like we quarantine ourselves. We close ourselves off. We disengage. And isn't that what the masculine has been doing? It may seem like they disconnect or shut down because they don't want to be with you. But if you look deeper, you would probably find that they're afraid that they'll be rejected. And so it's easier for them to just stay sequestered, to stay away, to stay by themselves, to hide. So spirit is trying to move us past this. And this could open the door for connection again. Because if you or your person, and remember, this is both. So there is always, it's not, it's a, extremely rare that what is going on between a set of twins is only one person's problem. It's usually both your problem. That's why a lot of people come to me for one-on-one sessions, is because sometimes it's very hard to see, but that is a gift that I have to help people see the things that they're projecting onto their twin, how that is showing up in their own life. So when we're feeling this disconnect, we want to run away. Remember what I said a few weeks ago? Maybe you don't know because I think I just made it in a written post and I wasn't able to do a video about it. But I talked about the avoidant energy is what the masculine is trying to clear right now. And this is what's going on with the avoidant energy. Um, a part of that might be that they're afraid of giving their power away. So this card talks about it as if it's happening. And it might be happening, but because it's happened with other people, there can be a fear of, am I going to give myself away in this relationship? Or um, does this person want to control me in some regard? And there can be a fear, even subconsciously, that within the connection is so powerful, I might be controlled. Especially if you've been in a controlling or manipulative relationship before. Interesting on this card, we have a lot of water too, and as this energy comes down, it's creating a ripple. Where these cards, the water is very smooth. And this card as well has some water on it, and it looks like, a lake, and there's some mountains. Um, which is interesting. It could speak to something that you're trying to clear or someplace where you're going that might be around water or on the coast, maybe the shore. Just adding that in, that if that's the case, it could be something past life related. Something else that I do want to mention that I wrote down in my notes is that psychic attack is happening for twins through this ascension portal. As we go through this energy of ascension, and we're going through this process to manifest our dreams, in order to facilitate that, we need to be in our sovereignty. And so the dark forces don't want us to be in our sovereignty. So they attack us, and that takes us out of our sovereignty. Basically, like we're giving, it could be an entity, could be alien implants, could be parasites, could be an earthbound spirit. We might be giving our power away, our sovereignty away. So, that is something to consider. And that could very well be coming up because of what we're clearing. I have seen where attachments show up when something is clearing that's very negative from a past life. It can show up and the energy field has an attachment of some sort. But I am getting that implants are part of how we're being attacked. There's a lot of different types of implants. As I'm doing clearings, it's very rare that I find a person that has no implants on them. But even when we remove the implants, the dark ETs that are attempting to control us, they will try to put implants into us right away, So we have to be vigilant in clearing these things. So something to watch for, and make sure that you're protecting yourself and actively clearing. You might want to be doing like the 50-point cosmic cleansing, for instance, regularly, or whatever meditation you use to stay grounded and cleared. Okay, so before I go into the future cards, I just want to read the song message from, I guess I could say, the masculine to the feminine. But if you're watching this, then I'm just going to say this song message is for you. This is what the masculine want to say. Find Your Way Back by Jefferson Starship. You know, it's been a long, long road since I packed up and left on my own, and I carry a heavy load just trying to get back to her heart. I ain't got no home. I seem to find love where I ramble, and when it's time to go, I hear that voice again saying, Find your way back. Find your way back to her heart. Find your way back. Find your way back to her heart. I thought that was funny message because it goes really well. Obviously, it mentions baggage, being alone, and also finding your way back, which is kind of this central theme. I don't know if you're coming back, or I'm sorry, I'm praying you're coming back, but I don't know if you'll forgive me. So let's look into how this energy that we've been dealing with here in August is setting us up for the future. So the energy that's coming in the future, I've watched you change and grow so much. I'm trying to release my attachment to identity so I can change too. Okay, so what is coming up is we are kind of facilitating this change. I want to use the word grounding change. I would say this message, we could take this from our higher self, really more than our twin, even though it could come from our twin as well. But what we're doing is we're releasing attachments. Attachments to certain identities, attachments to past life, attachments to karmic people, attachments to the land. attachments in our energy field, negative attachments. We're releasing all of these things, and this energy is helping to facilitate that. Now, this is clarified with the card Eclipse. And we are in the eclipse window because the eclipses will be happening next month. We have a lunar eclipse at 15 degrees of Pisces on September 7th and a solar eclipse on September 21st at 29 degrees Virgo. So I feel like Spirit is saying, when we get to this eclipse, this is when the real change is happening. And this energy that we're doing is setting us up to be able to make a big shift. Now, the key words here for me that are standing out are camouflage, hide, mask. It does mean union of opposites as well, which would be obviously the union of the masculine and feminine. But this is what I'm getting intuitively that they're trying to tell us with this card. And, you know, the moon here is in front of the sun and blocking out the light of the sun. So what is hidden will be revealed. Okay, expect a revelation to happen next month. And also, we're taking the mask off. You can feel that energy building, the desire to be authentic, to really find your voice, to speak out, or whatever that is. If you're in the divine feminine energy mostly, then how that is going to show up for you is speaking, publicly speaking, or writing, sharing ideas. If you're the masculine, that's probably going to show up in how can you communicate with your person, or how can you communicate with people in a way that's more open, that shows more of who you are. You can see how they both have the same idea. They're both based around authenticity. But for the feminine, the focus is more on a public dynamic. And for the masculine, it's more on an intimate dynamic, which you could understand because traditionally we would think of the feminine as being the one that has the ability to speak more authentically and openly in an intimate setting, where the masculine typically feels more comfortable speaking publicly, but maybe has a hard time sharing feelings. So when we do mention like union of opposites, then we could consider that like we're integrating the opposites energy, where the feminine is integrating the masculine to speak out, and the masculine is integrating the feminine to be able to have those intimate conversations that makes them feel abandoned. And obviously, when we're talking about our inner dynamic, it's about getting your masculine and feminine to work together to feel supported and safe to speak out in whatever way, whether that's publicly or intimately. I want to mention too, we do have a full moon coming up on August 9th. That's the day after the 8/8 portal. It's at 17 degrees of Aquarius. And I want to read the Sabian symbols for that because it goes along with what I'm saying here. Now, the full moon is at exactly 17 degrees. So when we're reading the Sabians, we always round up. So in this case, we would round up and we would read 18. The Sabian is a man being unmasked at a masquerade. But if we looked at 17, which we consider, or I consider, the woman that wrote this, Linda Hill, talks about it being the karmic degree, which sheds light on the actual degree. So the degree before that is a watchdog standing guard protecting his master and his possessions. And I definitely want to read this one because it is on that 1700 degree. So this, a watchdog standing guard, that is our inner masculine that has been standing guard over us, but in a way, well, they haven't meant to limit us. They've meant to protect us. Or I should say, the masculine inside of us has meant to protect. But what it's done is also create limits at the same time. So from now until going into this eclipse, I think we're needing to look at how are we being guarded? How are we being guarded with our twin? And clearly the cards are saying that grief, abandonment, and power struggles, maybe even narcissistic control, abuse, has made us have such strong boundaries that we can't be open, even with our twin. And that's what this deep healing is about. Now, this isn't something that is just showing up in the month of August. As always, we have to remember that these healing processes take a long time. Often it's a 2 to 3 year process. But I feel like we have been working on it for a while and we're getting so close to shifting it. In fact, I think we will shift it because when we talk about change and releasing ideas of identity and wanting to hide ourselves or wear a mask, going into the new energy, we can't do that anymore. So we have to shift this at this time. Now, will it take longer than through the month of September? Probably. But we continue to evolve in it and remove these layers. Yeah, I thought it was interesting that that full moon is on a man, particularly a man, being unmasked. Masked, am I saying that right? At a masquerade. And this card also brought up mask. So, what is that energy of change and being authentic helping us? There are subconscious fears affecting our ability to attract love and abundance. The universe is helping us make them conscious so we can easily attract what we want, including each other. So, going through this process, which is going to culminate at the eclipse, is helping us release our subconscious fears. This card is clarified with Fortress. And I'm reading this card as the fortress around our heart, or how we guard ourselves, how we isolate ourselves in our fortress at times, and we don't want to let other people in. And you know how we do that? There's a multitude of ways. Everybody is different. But in some way, we're all dealing with something that we want to hide or protect. How we want to protect ourselves from other people or from the pain of relationship. And again, if you're the feminine, that might be something that is not easy for you to see. And it might be something that you want to really think about because there will be a reflection of that. Whatever's going on with your masculine, there's going to be a reflection of that in you. And so as we're trying to change, what will challenge us? Our inner guidance is clear, but our ego is resisting it. And you can see the full moon on this card. This card is a 10 though. So 10s are that new beginning. So this is releasing to allow the new beginning. look for the time period between these full moons from August 9th to September 7th to be a time where you might be resisting. You know, you have to ask yourself, am I resisting something? Am I resisting this union? Am I resisting being open? I did pull a clarifier on it, which is what the card suggests. Draw another card to clarify what you might be resisting. And the card was we project our patterns onto each other, and this makes it difficult to see what is real and what is fear-based thinking. So it's going into those patterns and being able to see those patterns is what a lot of people are going to be finding they're resisting that. This was clarified with very likely. So getting over these patterns, and it's the listening to the higher self, which will guide us in seeing those projections and clearing them. Again, just because the higher self is saying it doesn't mean we don't resist it. Um, but this card is telling us that there is change. For me, this card, I know it says very likely, but if we focus on the image again, we are in this like portal, this beautiful portal of green energy with the light coming in. So it's like forward movement and healing, heart chakra energy. And what might be challenging is believing, believing that this good energy is coming. And you might find that you're resisting something about allowing this good energy in. I guess because this is the challenge, I should say it has. Spirit is telling us to look for what we're resisting and to see that it could be trying to block us from going through that portal of positivity. And look at the difference between these cards. Still have a woman, still see from behind, but where one looks sad and the kind of it's still like a portalish energy, isn't it? But it's dark. Still at a train track. Still at a train track. But this one is I'm light. I'm moving forward. The light is coming in. So this might feel challenging at times as we go through this next month and even next 2 months. We are in a retrograde right now as well. But clearly, Spirit is telling us to have faith and trust and believe that all of this is happening to bring us into this positive energy and to bring us back together again. On this card, a lot of this white, pure energy on this card. And the man is in the distance, but it's she is changing, and that is what is drawing him in. It's like he is saying, I've watched you change, and it makes me want to change too. And indeed, the changes that you facilitate do help your person in most cases. Um, like I said earlier, there can be a lot of interference and things which might make it difficult for your twin to shift and change if they're just battling the dark forces constantly. But if that's not the case, then yeah, you're growing and changing together, and that's bringing you back. Really, a lot of it will be as you grow and change, you're raising your vibration, and that is facilitating the energetic shifts that are needed for the universe to make way for unions. Which seems like a good place to end this reading. Again, I'll link my website below. Just a shout out to Otter Spirit for my bracelets. If you're interested, I have a coupon code and a link to Otter Spirit below. Otherwise, sending you guys love. Happy Lionsgate once again, and I'll speak to you soon.